Civilizations have risen, flourished, and fallen throughout human history. Each cycle seems inevitable, yet the specifics of how and why civilizations grow, peak, and collapse have fascinated thinkers for centuries. Today, we explore how various theories of history explain the rise and fall of civilizations and how these models can help us understand the world today. Throughout history, scholars have proposed different models to explain the cyclical nature of civilizations. Some, like Arnold Toynbee and Oswald Spengler, suggest civilizations grow and decay through natural, almost organic processes. Others, like Plato and Peter Turchin, show us how political systems and societal unrest shape these patterns. Let's explore these theories in depth and examine real-world examples of civilizations that fit these cycles. Arnold Toynbee's challenge-response model in A Study of History suggests that civilizations arise in response to challenges. A society's ability to overcome these challenges leads to growth, but failure to respond or adapt leads to its decline. First Genesis. Civilizations are born when a society faces a challenge like a resource scarcity or a new technological breakthrough, then growth. The society meets the challenge and grows stronger, then we have breakdown. As civilizations grow, new challenges arise that strain their systems, and finally disintegration. Failure to overcome these challenges leads to disintegration, with smaller societies emerging from the ruins. The Roman Empire exemplifies Toynbee's model. Rome rose to power by conquering surrounding territories, challenged response, and developed a complex infrastructure. However, internal challenges such as economic disparity, political instability, and external invasions led to its decline, splitting into smaller kingdoms. Oswald Spengler, in The Decline of the West, proposed that civilizations inevitably experience a life cycle that mirrors the life of an individual. After their peak, they decline because the creative impulses that fueled their growth fade, leading to stagnation. Youth as civilization emerges with an initial period of creativity. Maturity. The society achieves cultural and political dominance. Decline. Over time, the original creative forces lose their vitality and the civilization stagnates and falls into decadence. The ancient Greek civilization fits Spengler's model. Greece reached its peak in the 5th century BCE with leaders like Pericles and philosophers like Socrates. However, over time, Greek culture began to stagnate, and the rise of Macedonian power under Alexander the Great marked the end of Greek dominance. Carol Quigley, in The Evolution of Civilizations, described 7 stages that civilizations go through. These stages include mixture, the emergence of a new society from various influences; gestation, a period of development where ideas and institutions form; expansion, the civilization grows in power and influence; age of conflict, internal conflicts arise as the society expands; universal empire, the civilization reaches its peak of power; decay sets in due to internal strife and corruption; and finally, invasion, external forces bring about the fall. For example, the Mongol Empire followed Quigley's stages. After its formation, or mixture, the Mongols expanded rapidly across Asia, which is the expansion stage. However, internal conflicts and corruption, representing the age of conflict and decay, weakened the empire before it collapsed after external invasions. Peter Turchin proposed the idea of long and short cycles in history. Secular cycles span centuries, marked by long-term social stability followed by decline. Short cycles are periods of societal unrest caused by inequality and instability. Secular cycles are long-term overarching patterns that involve a period of social harmony followed by crisis. Short cycles are shorter bursts of instability, usually driven by economic inequality or political unrest. For example, the French Revolution is an example of a short cycle of instability within the larger secular cycle of French society. France enjoyed relative stability during the early modern period, but faced growing inequality and unrest, leading to revolution and the eventual rise of Napoleon, signaling a new secular cycle. Social cycle theory argues that societies repeat events in cycles, driven by the need for stability, order, and security. This theory contrasts with the concept of linear social evolution. The stages are that societies rise, fall, and then rebirth through cycles of revolution and reorganization. For example, the Chinese dynastic cycle exemplifies this theory. Each dynasty in Chinese history was followed by a period of rebellion, collapse, and the rise of a new dynasty, continuing this cyclical pattern. Plato's theory in the Republic explains that governments pass through a cycle from ideal forms of rule to corruption. Aristocracy is the best form of government, ruled by philosopher kings. Next is timocracy, a government driven by honor and military power. This is followed by oligarchy, rule by a wealthy elite. Then comes democracy, rule by the people, which often leads to chaos. Finally, tyranny emerges, a dictatorship that arises out of democratic instability. For example, Athens provides a classic example. Initially ruled by a small aristocracy, Athens transitioned through timocracy, oligarchy, and democracy, before finally falling into tyranny under the rule of figures like Pisistratus. The fourth turning theory suggests that societies pass through 4 stages. High, a period of stability and prosperity; awakening, a cultural revolution that challenges the status quo unraveling, when social and political institutions begin to break down; and crisis, a period of intense upheaval that results in a new social order. For example, the United States is often considered to be in an unraveling stage as political polarization increases and social institutions face significant challenges, possibly heading toward a crisis phase that could reshape the nation's future. This model suggests civilizations experience 4 seasonal stages: birth, the emergence of new civilizations; growth, a period of expansion and development; reproduction, when civilization spreads ideas and influences; and death, the eventual decline of the civilization. For example, the Mayan civilization passed through these stages. It began with the birth of city-states, expanded during the Classic period, spread influence across Mesoamerica, and eventually declined due to environmental factors and internal strife. Tytler's cycle involves stages of bondage, freedom, and decay. It suggests civilizations begin in bondage or oppression, move toward freedom through revolution, and eventually decay as they become corrupt and complacent. For example, the American Revolution marks the transition from bondage to freedom for the United States. But the country now faces challenges of corruption and inequality that may lead to decay. While each civilization follows a unique path to its demise, historians have identified common factors that contribute to their decline. These can be categorized into natural events, societal issues, and external threats. So, let's walk through some of the top reasons civilizations fall and how they shape the trajectory of various societies throughout history. Natural disasters, climatic shifts, and droughts have played a significant role in the collapse of civilizations. These environmental factors can disrupt food production, destabilize economies, and trigger mass migration or conflict. Disasters such as earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and floods can decimate entire cities and alter the course of a civilization. For example, the Minoan civilization on Crete was greatly impacted by a massive volcanic eruption on the nearby island of Thera around 1600 BCE. This eruption caused widespread destruction, climate disruptions, and a decline in agricultural productivity, contributing to the Minoans' eventual collapse. Climatic change, like a gradual shift in climate such as cooling or warming, can severely impact agricultural output. For instance, the Mayan civilization experienced a series of prolonged droughts around the 9th century CE, which significantly contributed to the collapse of their southern cities. The changing climate may have reduced the ability of the Mayans to sustain large urban centers. Long periods of drought can devastate agricultural societies. Take the Hittite Empire in Anatolia, which faced a severe drought around the 12th century BCE. As climate conditions worsened, agricultural productivity faltered, and internal pressures intensified, ultimately leading to their collapse. In addition to environmental factors, internal societal issues often hasten the downfall of a civilization. These issues include rapid population growth, economic strain, and over-diversification of the population. Population growth. When a civilization's population grows too quickly, resources become strained and social stability is threatened. For example, the Roman Empire faced significant challenges in managing its vast population. Overexpansion combined with economic strain led to a weakened military and logistical problems. As the empire expanded too quickly, it struggled to manage its territories, leading to fragmentation and eventual collapse. Over-diversification. A civilization that becomes too diverse or fragmented in terms of culture, ethnicity, or religion can lose cohesion, leading to internal conflict and instability. The Ottoman Empire faced challenges due to its vast and diverse population. By the 19th century, nationalism, ethnic diversity, and internal uprisings created an unstable foundation, contributing to its eventual collapse after World War I. Internal strife, political corruption, social inequality, and power struggles weakened the fabric of a society, making it vulnerable to collapse. The French Revolution in the late 18th century was fueled by severe internal strife, including the monarchy's excesses, economic inequality, and social unrest. These conditions culminated in the overthrow of the monarchy and the subsequent rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. Now let's walk through the rise and fall of three historical civilizations that succumbed to the very factors we've just discussed. These civilizations will help us understand how these elements played a key role in their eventual collapse. The Maya civilization flourished in Mesoamerica for over 1,000 years, with advanced mathematics, architecture, and a complex political structure. But by the 9th century CE, the Maya experienced a catastrophic collapse. The causes of this decline are often linked to a combination of factors: climatic change. A prolonged drought severely impacted agricultural productivity in the southern cities. With a reliance on maize as a staple crop, the Maya were unable to sustain their large urban populations. Internal strife. As resources became scarce, warfare between city-states intensified, leading to social fragmentation. Over-diversification. The complexity and size of Maya society became too much to manage, and as city-states fought over resources, the Maya civilization eventually fragmented. The decline was slow, but by the end of the 9th century, many southern cities were abandoned, and the once great civilization entered a long period of decline. The Roman Empire is one of the most famous examples of a civilization that experienced a complex decline. The Roman Empire lasted for nearly 500 years, dominating Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. However, by the 5th century CE, it began to disintegrate. The key factors that led to its fall include population growth and over-diversification. Rome's vast expansion led to administrative challenges, resource scarcity, and over-diversification. The empire had become a collection of different cultures, languages, and religions, which made it difficult to maintain unity. Internal strife and economic inequality. Political corruption and the growing divide between the wealthy elite and the impoverished lower classes led to internal unrest. Economic instability also contributed to weakening military power and logistical failures. Conquest. The Western Roman Empire ultimately fell due to repeated invasions from barbarian tribes such as the Visigoths, Vandals, and Ostrogoths in the 5th century. Rome's inability to defend its vast borders marked the end of its dominance. By 476 CE, the last Roman emperor in the West was overthrown, and the empire fragmented into smaller kingdoms. The Khmer Empire of Southeast Asia was one of the most powerful empires in the region, flourishing from the 9th to the 15th century CE. Known for the magnificent temples of Angkor Wat, the Khmer Empire ultimately collapsed due to a combination of environmental and societal issues. Environmental disaster. The Khmer relied heavily on an intricate system of canals and reservoirs to support agriculture. A prolonged drought, combined with the failure of this water management system, contributed to food shortages, over-diversification, and internal conflict. The empire's growing size and diversity created challenges in governance. Political fragmentation and internal conflicts weakened the unity of the empire. Conquest and overextension. The Khmer Empire faced external pressures from neighboring kingdoms such as the Siamese, which eventually led to the fall of Angkor and the relocation of the capital. By the 15th century, the once powerful Khmer Empire had collapsed, and its territories were absorbed into surrounding states. So, where do we stand today? Let's take a look at 3 modern civilizations and place them within these cyclical frameworks. The United States seems to be in the unraveling phase, according to the 4th turning, with increasing political division and institutional instability. China, on the other hand, might be in the expansion phase, experiencing significant growth and influence on the global stage. Russia appears to be in a decaying phase as it faces internal political challenges, corruption, and declining global influence. As history shows us, no civilization is immune to the cycles of growth, decay, and renewal. Understanding the cyclical nature of civilizations can provide valuable insight into the challenges we face today. As history repeats itself, we can learn from past civilizations and perhaps even chart a course toward a more resilient future. The cycle may be unbroken, but it's up to us to shape the next chapter. Will our civilization break the cycle, or will we too rise, fall, and rise again? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the cycles of civilization, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What cycle do you think our civilization is in right now? Please like and subscribe.